Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida
Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for the BWA Ladies of Jodo Shinshu Memorial Service. My name is Lois Kashiwase, and at this time I would like to welcome Reverend Peggy Okamayashi from the Sacramento Buddhist Church. She will be officiating today's service. We will begin today's service with opening meditation and Nimbutsu. Please join me in placing your palms together in Gasho. Peaceful night. How beautiful the starry sky. Who could know the mystery of the heavens? When these countless eyes shine brightly, my heart is filled with joy. More numerous than the sands of the Ganges are the Buddhas. When I hear that they watch over us night and day, my heart is filled with peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. At this time, Reverend Patty will recite the Sambujo in the Yobakumon, or dedication, followed by the chanting of the Jusege.
The members of the Florin Buddhist Women's Association are gathered here today to observe our annual Ladies of Jodo Shinshu service, honoring Lady Eshnee Kakushini and Lady Yoshiko Otani. May the fragrance of the incense teach us the purity of our intentions. May the flowers offered remind us of the delicate truth of life's impermanence. And may the light that burns brightly on the altar lead our thoughts to Amida's light of wisdom that dispels the darkness of selfishness. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
天にし人力現代語無償無才道少女三苦名交際集約難愛知永元弟子公門案異足小悪道通達全宗門放送上満足異様老寺法日月修十期天候音符言一種海王像公正功徳を両大集中説法ししく不要一切物不足修徳音姉秩序満得意三害用両仏無下地通達未不詳安楽営利投資最小損志願や効果来世の感動国書天に当地名ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがにしくどく平等正義道も大心往生ナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマ
You're on mute, Lois.
Sorry about that. At this time, we will listen to the Gatha Seiya from the Kyoto Women's University Choir Chorus.
Alleluia.
was very nice. Thank you. Please join Kathy Menda in reciting the Golden Chain too.
I am a link in the Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say and pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in the Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
At this time, I would like to welcome Peggy Okamayashi. She will be giving today's message.
Good morning, everyone. As Lois mentioned, my name is Peggy Okamayashi. I'm currently the president of, well, a president of just about everything, I think, these days. But today, you know, when I was thinking about what I would talk about for the ladies of Jodo Shinshu, you know, there's Lady Eshnee, Lady Kakushini, Lady Otani, you know, and also even Lady Kujo, because they're all important women regarding Jodo Shinshu Buddhism and our foundation, because without these women, you know, Jodo Shinshu would not exist as it is today. They had profound influences on our future, I mean, our present. And so, but when I was reading the Los Angeles Hompa Honganji Buddhist temples, you know, monthly newsletter, and in that newsletter, they Reverend Ringbom William Briones had written an article on his thoughts on Eshnee and Shinron's relationship, and I thought, well, that's a very interesting article, so I'm going to read it to you. Hopefully you have not heard it before, but it's a very good article, and it goes like this. Thoughts on Eshnee and Shinron's relationship. Although I never told your father about the dream in which I saw him as an incarnation of Kanon Bosatsu, since that time I never regarded him as just an ordinary man and continued to serve him. I hope that you will fully appreciate what I am saying. And Ringbom Briones says, as you may already know, my wife, Nobuko Miyoshi, is a minister at West Covina Buddhist Temple. If someone told me 27 years ago when I began my studies at IBS that I would someday be married to a Buddhist priest, I would have told you, you're nuts. But here we are, having met over 25 years ago, sharing our life as Jodo Shinshu ministers. As you can imagine, most of our time is taken up with temple work and activities. Even when we are home, conversations are centered around work and the teachings. There is no doubt in my mind that Nobuko has been instrumental in my development and my understanding of Jodo Shinshu, and she continues to influence me to reflect on the old adage, practice what you preach. So I find myself trying to imagine what the dynamics were between Shinron Shonin and his wife, Eshnee, as they shared their life of Nimbutsu, but also living every day in the mundane. It must be for certain that together they manifested the true intent of Nimbutsu for the ordinary person. In the month of October, Jodo Shinshu temples throughout BCA will be paying tribute to Eshnee. As we commemorate the life of Eshnee, it gives us an opportunity to realize that despite Eshnee's human frailties, and suffering, and many hardships, she was able to live a life of gratitude and great joy, embraced by Amida Buddha's compassion. Until early in the 20th century, very little was known about the life of Shinron Shonin, and even less about his family. But in 1921, 10 letters written by Eshnee to their youngest daughter, Kakushini, were found. These letters had been tucked away in the archives of the Nishihonganji in Kyoto and forgotten for centuries. These letters attest to not only of Shinnon's profound devotion to the Buddha Dharma, but also shed light on Eshnee, also as a devoted follower of the Nimbutsu. Eshnee led a very turbulent life. She was born in Echigo and married to Shinron, who was exiled to that part of the country. Together they lived in Kanto for 20 years and then Kyoto for another 20 years. Later in life, she returned by herself to her native Echigo, leaving behind her husband in Kyoto, and for more than 10 years, she took care of her property that she had inherited, in addition to taking care of her grandchildren. The opening reading comes from Eshnee's third letter, a letter written to Kakushini revealing a dream that she had about Shinron. Let me read it to you again. Although I never told your father about the dream in which I saw him as an incarnation of Kannon Bosatsu, since that time I never regarded him as just an ordinary man and continued to serve him. I hope that you too will fully appreciate what I am saying. So, Eshnee's dream takes place at a dedication ceremony for a recently completed temple. She sees a huge images of Buddha. One of the images is emanating bright lights and she is unable to see the face. The other image is clearly the face of Buddha. When she asks, what is the name of this Buddha? There is a reply. This one with the light is Honen Shoni. He is none other than Seishi Bosatsu, and the other is Kannon Bosatsu. He is none other than Shinron. She awakens from her dream, and she vows not to tell anyone of the dream, fearing no one would believe her. She does, however, tell Shinron about seeing Honen Shonin in her dream. Shinron acknowledges the significance of the dream, but she never tells Shinron that she saw him as an incarnation of Kannon Bosatsu. Because of this dream, Eshnee regarded Shinron as an incarnation of a bodhisattva of compassion and assured Kakushini of his exemplary religious life. For Shinron, dreams and visions also played a significant role in his religious development. In one such dream, while Shinron was staying in Rokakudo in Kyoto, he dreamt that Kannon Bosatsu appeared to him and told him that because he was driven by sexual desire, that he would indeed be with a woman. Kannon Bosatsu said that he would transform himself into that woman Shinron would embrace. This woman would adore him throughout his life and at death lead him to the Pure Land. In this dream that ultimately drove him to abandon the monastic life at Mount Hiei, convert to Honen's teachings, and eventually marry Eshnee and have a family. Little is written about the relationship and the interaction between Shinron and Eshnee, but one can only imagine the devotion and dedication they had for one another, since they both considered that their mate was the incarnation of a bodhisattva. Together, they helped propagate the Nimbutsu teachings through drought, famine, disease, and no doubt an inspiration to each other. Truly, they were a unique couple, united in a deep and enduring faith. Together and apart, they lived a life of gratitude, manifesting in the ideal of Nimbutsu practitioner. As I reflect on Shinron and Eshnee's life and their deep commitment to the Nimbutsu, I can only dream that someday I too will awaken to the same great joy and gratitude that Shinron and Eshnee shared. And this was the article that Ringbaum William Briones had written in the, I think it was the September newsletter from the Hompa Honganjin. So, and it's interesting to think about, you know, we never really think about the life they must have shared, even though they were apart for the last 10 years of his life. But, you know, it is quite interesting. So that today is my talk. Thank you.
Her and Patty will now read On White Ashes.
I will now like to share the reading of the epistle called On White Ashes, written by Renyo Shonin. Renyo Shonin was our 8th Monshu, or spiritual leader, of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. This letter was written about 500 years ago. It is said that friends of Renyo Shonin experienced the death of a loved one, and in their emptiness and deep grief, they asked him, "Why do such things have to happen? Why must we have to know such pain and loss?" Renyo thought deeply about their question and later answered with this letter. This letter so simply captured the Buddhist understanding of life and death that it has become a traditional reading that we continue to share at Jodo Shinshu services. This letter is entitled On White Ashes. Please join me in Gassho and listen to the words of Renyo Shonin. On White Ashes. In silently contemplating the transient nature of human existence, nothing is more fragile and fleeting than the life of man. Thus, we have not heard of human life lasting for 1,000 years. Life passes quickly, and few among men can maintain their life for even 100 years. Whether I go before others or others go before me, whether it be today or tomorrow, who is to know? Those that go before us are as countless as the drops of dew. Although in the morning we may have radiant health, in the evening we may return to white ashes. When the winds of impermanence blow, our eyes are closed forever. And when the last breath leaves us, our face loses its color. Though loved ones may gather and lament, everything is to no avail. The body is then sent into an open field and vanishes from this world with the smoke of cremation, leaving only the white ashes. Nothing is more real than this truth of life. The fragile nature of human existence underlies both the young and the old. Therefore, we must, one and all, turn to the teachings of the Buddha and awaken to the essence of life. By so understanding the meaning of death, we come to appreciate the meaning of this life, which is to be treasured because it is unrepeatable. By virtue of true compassion, let us realize the unexcelled value of this life, and let us live together with gratitude in our hearts. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. I'd like to continue with the recitation of Our Pledge by Monshu Konju Otani. Our Pledge. Breaking out of my shell, I will share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I will share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life I have received, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who tirelessly worked to liberate all. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
We'll close today's service with meditation and Nimbutsu. Please join me in placing your palms together in Gassho. Our attempt to understand the heart of Amida is just like us bringing out a flashlight to see how bright the sun is. This is by Reverend Kodo Umezu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Ananda, Ananda. At this time, if anyone has any announcements, please unmute and share with the Sangha. The only one I have is that the next Shotsuki service, the November Shotsuki service will be November 7th at 10:30, and it will be Zoom. So in closing today's service, oh, Peggy?
Yeah, I
Sorry.
just want to remind everyone that our BWA Tsuito, Hoyo, and Bonenkai is going to be on December the 4th, Saturday, December the 4th at 11 a.m. So please tune in.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. In closing today's service, I would like to thank Reverend Patty, Peggy Okamayashi, Golden Chain Reader Kathy Menda, and Reverend Bob for today's service. And a special thank you to Stuart Ito as our Zoom technician. So thank you for attending today's BWA Ladies of Jodo Shinshu Memorial Service. Have a nice weekend.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Rose.
Bye.